Welcome to Inside Thai Nguyen. As you know, PCI is an instrument to evaluate the environmental business and the capable and competitiveness between provinces. PCI is implemented by the VCCI and US-AID. It has been implemented for 11 years. The ideas of PCI come from Mr Edmund Malesky, a person who comes from the top university. First of all, thank you so much for joining to our program today.
My pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And here for the first question for you. Okay, can you tell us about the ideas of PCI? It means when did you decide to study about the PCI?
So it was a long time ago. I was just starting out in my academic career, and it was about 2004, and we started looking at a really interesting issue, which was that Vietnam had a lot of great laws. So the enterprise law, the new land law, laws on inspections, but still the private sector did not seem to be growing very fast. And the key issue across all of these areas was implementation at the province level.
A lot of time to study the PCI. So come back for 10 years ago. Could you tell us about some problem when you started doing the survey?
So what type of problem do you have in mind? Like a problem with people not liking the scores, or?
With enterprises.
I think so. We had a few. I think the issues we've had have been, I think the hard part about the PCI is that you're telling someone how well they're doing their job, right? And that, I don't think anybody likes to be, to get a score for their performance. And so the key issue is, why are we doing badly? And they really want to understand the methodology. And so I think the key part is like how to convey the methodology in a way, that smart people, but who aren't statisticians, can understand it. And so when we've had challenges, it's usually been provincial officials who wanted to know more about their scores and were unhappy about their performance. And so we had to work with them. So that's been the key issue. I think also, some of the questions that the PCI looks at can be sometimes sensitive. Land issues, issues of bribery. And so trying to convey that information openly, sometimes, that makes people a little bit nervous. And so we've struggled with that about how best to present this information in a way that helps solve the problem but doesn't make people nervous.
Is it depend on the enterprises?
No, I don't. We have never had much trouble with the enterprises. I think that, the enterprise. This survey takes between 45 minutes and an hour and a half, and the enterprises, they take so much time to fill it out and do a great job on it. So yeah, we've never had much trouble there. Yeah.
Okay. So how did your PCI team make the PCI score better like today?
So what we do is every 4 years we convene a board, and that board includes businesses, some provincial officials, and we ask them, what is the PCI doing right? What is it doing wrong? What can we do better? And especially what we like to talk about is, as the business environment changes, some things that were really important are no longer important. Like, for example, in the old days, it used to be a big problem that the environment was biased towards local state-owned enterprises. But now that's not a big issue. So we have to sort of get rid of indicators that aren't very useful anymore, and then add new indicators that capture the new features in the business environment. So.
Yeah. So you see some provinces such as Da Nang, Lào Cai or Đồng Tháp, Quang Ninh.
Mm-hmm.
Also some, I think it's good province with the PCI. So could you give us something about these provinces?
Okay, so I think if you want to look at the overall secret to why those provinces do so well, you just have to look at the weighting. Look at the weighting scheme of the PCI and look what receives the most weight, all right? So transparency is weighted 20%, right? Labor training is weighted 20%.
Yeah.
those provinces are the provinces that do the best on those two issues, right? Especially transparency. Because transparency, when provinces do well on transparency, it tends to help the other indicators. Because businesses know more about what's going on and they can improve their strategic plan. So, and I think that transparency has two levels. One is about making information available, but another is actively working with firms to try and improve the business environment.
So I want to ask you one question about the domestic and the foreign domestic in the local province.
Yeah.
So what is the local province in Vietnam should do the balance between the domestic and foreign investor in the local province?
I think the number one thing to do is just keep things the same. Like, don't bias the environment towards foreign investors, don't bias the environment towards domestic investors. Apply the same laws and regulations to both sectors, right? And then the second thing I think the key issue right now is help the domestic sector connect to the foreign sector. Right now, a lot of these foreign firms, they're in industrial zones, they're out by themselves, and the domestic sector is not selling to them. So foreign investors can improve the business environment. They can be there and connect, and you can have connections between the two, but right now that's not happening. Yeah. So in terms of, like, now it's clear that they need different things. Foreigners need more land and land clearance. Infrastructure is more important for foreign investors. Labor quality, and especially management quality, is much more important for foreign investors. So there are some things that you have to do a little differently if you want to attract the foreign investment environment, attract foreign investment than domestic investment. But I think generally the best thing to do is keep them the same.
Okay, so come back to the PCI of Thai Nguyen.
Yeah.
I think you have been studying a lot of time with PCI,
Yeah.
and you have known Thai Nguyen very well,
Yeah.
so many times. So can you give us a recommend about the PCI ranking of Thai Nguyen since recent year?
Yes. Okay. So let's take a quick look at the scores here. You can take a look and you can see that. Thai Nguyen had some interesting improvements this year, and in areas where they work, they improved land, they improved transparency, they made real improvements in the proactivity of the leadership. But there are some areas where Thai Nguyen sees some reductions. Right? So entry costs, it's taking a little bit longer to start your business now in Thai Nguyen. That's a little bit down. Thai Nguyen seems to have a problem with firms thinking that the environment isn't totally fair, that there's biases towards foreign, state, or connected enterprises. So I guess if I were to make some recommendations for Thai Nguyen, I guess my recommendations were create an even business environment and do what they can to get rid of the regulatory obstacles that firms appear to think are there.
So how about the PCI for this year? How do you think?
What do I think about it?
The PCI of Thai Nguyen this year. What is the reason why
they slipped?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I'm just you take a look at the indicators, and I hope your audience can look at this at home. I think the key things you can see where there's big falls have been their entry costs seem to be taking a little bit longer. There seems to be more worries about policy bias in the environment, and of course this issue of informal charges remains a problem.
Okay, so what does Thai Nguyen province needs to do to improve the PCI?
Look, I think, well, let's look. I would say that as I said, the big issue is what can Thai Nguyen can do to better communicate to its firms what it's doing, better bring firms involved in the decision process. So Thai Nguyen's doing a good job with the Cafe Kings of Wine, but they can do more about interacting with business and in creating an open environment for businesses to succeed. And I think it's, take a close look and see if baby licenses are increasing in Thai Nguyen. Take a close look and see whether other issues are popping up that may be slowing down the ability of entrepreneurs to start their business.
Yeah. So how about yourself? I've known you've been working in Vietnam for a long time.
That's right.
Can you tell us something about yourself?
Well, I've been studying Vietnam for 20 years.
20 years.
I love this country very much. I love traveling around to all the provinces. And as I'm sure you know, my wife is Vietnamese and she's from here, and I think because my wife's Vietnamese and because I care for her so much, that's one of the reasons why I'm so interested in helping Vietnam move along this trajectory of reform. So.
So your wife will teach you Vietnamese language.
Yeah. She likes to think so. Yeah. But I think I'm a disappointment for her. Yeah. All right.
And that's all. Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so much.
joining to our program today.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye bye.
And that's all we have for today. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Okay. Bye bye. Thank you.